I am thrilled to be here, and I want to pause first before starting to compliment the DigitalOcean team here in India and Bangalore. It's a small team, and yet this event has been first class from the minute it started, and it looks like an army put it together. And so PJ, to you and the team, want to compliment you. How about a round of applause for that group? Now, before I start, I have a couple problems, and I'm going to need the audience's help to solve them. The first problem is that I get the sense, I may be wrong, you help me, that the audience I'm speaking to today is pretty technical. Am I right? Are there any salespeople in the room? Okay, a very small minority. So my first problem is I'm speaking to a very technical group about sales. Big challenge. Big challenge. Second problem is I'm speaking to a very technical group about sales, and I'm the only thing that stands between you and lunch. Big problem. Third problem is this is my first time in India. I arrived on Tuesday morning, and from Tuesday to Thursday, I think combined, I've had 3 hours of sleep. Jet lag, big time. So all those problems are working against us, but if you're with me, we're going to build your sales. And I love the folks in the audience who said millions. We're not thinking millions, we're thinking billions. I want you on our team. All right, so just let me know real quick. I need a verbal confirmation from this audience that you're with me. Yes. And to keep me on time, are you hungry? All right, very good. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get the clicker to move here. Okay. All right, so I'll skip to a slide here that I think I got tricked into putting into my deck. So, and so when I get to it, we can just pass right through it. So we got the template from PJ, and in the template it said, tell us a little known fact about yourself. And I noticed that none of my colleagues this morning used that part of the template, but I did, because any opportunity to talk about yourself, if you're a sales guy, you're going to take it. And so my little known fact is when I was a youngster growing up, I had 3 brothers, 2 older and 1 younger, and the 4 of us used to sing together in a gospel quartet. And in fact, when we're still together till this day, we'll get around the piano. My oldest brother is a very good pianist, and literally we will stand by the piano for hours and just sing until our voices are gone. And so when I come to the next Tide event in India, if you want to have karaoke at the end of the event, I'm all in and I'll be first on the stage. Okay? We ready yet? Not yet. Okay. All right. Well, I think I know my material. Again, Mohan gave you my background, 30 years in the tech industry. All of that has been in building and leading organizations in tech sales. And so what I wanted to do today is talk to you about what are the characteristics that you see in a strong sales culture that is going to bring value to you, that is going to drive strong sales, millions and billions of sales. What does that look like? And then what are the building blocks that are necessary in your organization to produce those characteristics? I'll talk about one secret ingredient that comes from my grandfather's garden back in Western Pennsylvania, and that gives you something that I think every salesperson needs to have. And then I'll be around the rest of the day, and if you have questions, there's the gospel quartet. Again, the building blocks, and I doubt that we'll have time for it, but salespeople love to tell war stories. And I thought if we have time, I'll share a favorite win. If we don't, you can catch me somewhere in here, and I'll be happy to tell you about it. And then any questions you might have. You've heard about my background, lots of experience, organizations of all sizes, calling on the smallest of SMBs to the largest of enterprises, and have, and the way I think of this session, so we've talked about DO's community and the tutorials that are in that community. This is a live tutorial on sales. And you can't cover it in less than 20 minutes, but would love to engage with you this afternoon. If there are those of you who are building that go-to-market motion now, happy to chat with you, answer questions, give some insights. And I think these concepts are universal. They're not unique to the market in the Americas. I ran global sales in a couple places, and I think they resonate everywhere. So what does it take if you have a world-class sales organization? How would you know it? What would be the characteristics that exist in that organization? The first one is, and I think most important, is if you have a world-class sales organization, those salespeople bring to you delighted, happy customers, and they do so by providing value to those customers. You don't sell them things they don't need. You don't price it inappropriately. And your goal is, after the sale, that the customer's experience has been everything you promised, you delivered that and more, and at a fair price. So number one, you're building a customer base that is absolutely delighted, that feels you've delivered value, and they become an advocate for your company and actually lead to follow-on sales. You deliver performance that is consistent and predictable. There is no worse experience for those of you that are entrepreneurs, CEOs, and lead the company, for you to have an expectation on the quarter, an expectation of the finish, only to find out as you get closer and closer to quarter end, that number is going to be missed. And so the hallmark of a great sales organization is you do what you say. If I say to you, this is the number we're going to deliver in Q2, that is a number that you can take to the bank, you can count on it, and it's etched in stone. And you do that by being on top of every detail of your business and understanding exactly what it is you're going to deliver. I'll talk about this, but you create a business model that's leveraged. If you expect to scale to the millions and billions, you won't do that simply by the sales team that wears your badge. But you'll do it by building multiple pathways to market, creating value for partners who build complete solutions around your offering and deliver value to your customers and extend your reach and become a force multiplier to your business. Recruit and retain the best people. You're going to have rock stars. And though I'm a sales guy, and this should resonate in this room, I believe the most valuable portion, the most key contributor to a high-functioning sales organization is your SE team. The systems engineers are the folks that are going to convince the technical buyer that your product is better than the competition and will solve the problems that they have. Fill your teams with the best SEs on the planet, pair them up with a great sales rep, and you will have a remarkable team. You have to enjoy competing and winning. Don't find and don't hire salespeople that don't like to compete. They need to love the competition. They need to love the feeling of winning. And if you fill your sales organization with folks that want to deliver value, because you understand that's how you win, and then love the feeling of winning, you're going to have a great team, and it's one of the characteristics of a winning sales culture. Reward and recognize top performers. Salespeople love to see their name in lights. They love to be recognized. The more you do that, the more frequently you do it, it's what salespeople feed on. In addition to that, you need to have compensation structures that are going to reward top performers. At CleverSafe, and it was a remarkable experience, also goes to my favorite deal. We had a salesperson that closed a massive opportunity with a giant company, and that salesperson that year made over $1 million US. Now, I'm not saying go build a bunch of compensation plans where every rep is going to make that amount, But let me tell you, from that point forward, we never lost another recruit. Anyone we wanted, we would have them go visit with Kumar, and he would talk about his gigantic win and how it made him over $1 million in 1 year. We never lost another recruit. Build a sales compensation plan that drives behavior, the behavior that you want. And if your company is growing like crazy and you're reaching those billions, don't be afraid to have salespeople who are rewarded for that, because they're going to protect and manage that customer base that's so critical and be the one responsible for delivering value to those customers. Very important, and a world-class sales team understands where, why, and how they win, and you're able to repeat that often, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And you got to have some fun along the way. The characteristics of a great sales organization is these are happy people, they're winning frequently, and they have some fun along the way. I told the folks at DO when I was introduced to the company for the first time, when I was at CleverSafe, our offices were in Chicago, and right outside my office, we had this big, giant gong. You know what a gong, like a big, giant gong. And anytime we won a new client, we would bring the gong out. We would bring video cameras out. Now, we had engineers sitting all around us and customer support folks. We wouldn't tell them that the gong was coming out. We did it in stealth mode. Bring the gong out, set the video camera up, and then we would have the salesperson or inside salesperson that won the deal tell the story, and then all of a sudden that person would bang that gong, and we used to crack up because all the engineers and support people sitting around didn't know, would jump out of their seats and scream, but then they would all flock over and we would cheer and high five the most latest win. You have to have fun. It's pressure packed, it's competitive, every deal is hard fought, and when you win, you have to celebrate it, have fun, and bang the gong. So look for those bang the gong moments. All right, so if you have a great sales organization, you're going to know it because it's going to have these characteristics in it. It's going to look something like this, and you're going to feel it. You're going to have some fun. You're going to see people being rewarded. You're going to recognize top performers. You're going to fill it with incredible rock star SEs. And if you build those things and you start to see those characteristics, sales are going to follow, revenue is going to follow, and you're going to hit those millions and billions of targets. Now, how do you get there? So that's what it looks like when you're done. What steps does it take to build it? And the first one, and I talked about this, and to me, in fact, I ask this question in every interview I do of potential sales leaders. What's the most important thing you will do? The most important thing you will do, and most of them say, well, it's my strategy, it's how I manage pipeline, it's my forecast, it's how deeply I know the competition. All those things are great. But if you do all those things and your team is terrible, it won't make any difference. And so step number one in building a world-class sales organization is recruit, retain, and reward the top people in your industry. And I firmly believe that that characteristic alone, if you don't do any of the others, if you have great people, you still have an opportunity to be successful. I still think you'll need to do the other techniques and skills and tasks to building a great sales organization, but it begins, and the most important thing you do, you could underline it, bold it, put it in hard writing, the most important thing you're going to do is hire great people. The second is to develop a process that is repeatable, where you understand your value, why you win, and how you're differentiated from the competition. And we call that sales process. For example, if you are like DO, one of the reasons you win is because of your simplicity. You have to find ways in the sales process that is repeatable to demonstrate to customers how your simplicity differentiates you from others in the marketplace. And then you need to be able to repeat that at scale with your team. So understand, so first, hire great people. Secondly, understand why you win and be able to create a process around that that you can repeat, that you could train on for the new people, and will increase your win rate and your likelihood of success in every engagement because you know how to win and you know why you win. The second one is, and I think where many sales organizations get into a lot of trouble, is you go out of your lane of where your value resonates. In the case of DigitalOcean, we want to be the cloud of choice for the next generation developer and for SMB. So where will our sales force spend its time? We will spend our time working with partners who have a market focus in the area of developers and SMB, and we will spend our time marketing and creating value for that segment. We may be tempted if some giant, massive enterprise comes and wants to do business with us. And as a salesperson, big revenue is always tempting. But you'll get yourself into trouble. You'll burn cycles and likely end up losing if you swim in a lane that is not yours and in a place where your value is diminished. So recruit great people, understand why you win and build a process around that. Understand who is your target market and stay there and focus there and prospect there. And then build leverage into your business. And this is that notion of building multiple pathways to market with value-added partners who build solutions around yours and help you reach more customers, more prospects in more geographies, and you're not limited by simply the number of headcount that you can hire. And it actually becomes a force multiplier. Back in the early days of NetApp, and I was there when they were 700 million, 90% of our business was direct. And we struggled to continue to grow. We struggled to reach markets. In the early 2000s, we put a focus on the channel. Mohan remembers this. And our growth went through the roof. And we shifted from a company that was 20% channel, 80% direct, to just the opposite of that, and saw our business grow dramatically and saw customer satisfaction rise because partners were able to add other solutions in with NetApp and provide a complete solution to the customer. So great people, understand why you win, focus on the right prospects, build leverage into the business, and then lastly, create an operating model that supports all of the above. Things like commission accounting. Worst thing you can do is create a comp plan and then pay your salespeople incorrectly. They won't be your salespeople for long. They'll go find the next opportunity. Build things like tools for prospecting, tools to look at your pipeline and how much of that pipeline you convert so you understand if you have enough or not. These 5 things, there's many more, but if you do these 5 things in these categories, you will begin to see the characteristics that I outlined of great sales organizations. Predictable revenue growth, customers who are delighted and believe you bring them high value, happy salespeople, having fun, and winning day in and day out. Now, what's the secret ingredient? Secret ingredient. Is there anybody in the audience that's not from DO, because I think I've told this story there before, that knows what Ajita is? It's an Italian word, and it means heartburn. Heartburn. The key to any successful sales organization, the one ingredient beyond those 5 building blocks, is you gotta have Ajita. What does that mean? Ajita was my grandfather growing up. He had a garden out back. He used to grow these hot peppers. If you touched them and then went anywhere near your eyes, you were in agony for hours and hours and hours. And he would take the seeds of those hot peppers and he would sprinkle them on top of his pasta. He'd be sweating while he would eat it, but he loved it that way. grew him out in his garden. And then when he was done, he would say to my grandmother, Antoinette, oh, I got agita. And he would have to take this liquid, was called brioski. I don't even think they sell that anymore. He would pour it in, it would fizz up, he would drink it, and then his agita would go away. What does that mean? What's agita? Agita means that unless you're at quota, unless your pipeline is filled to overflowing with prospects, unless you have customers, your phone is ringing off the hook, your stomach is upset. And I can remember as a salesperson early in my career, it would be at the midpoint of the quarter, and I'd be thinking about, do I have enough to make my number? And my stomach would have agita. And I'd see other reps behind me, calm as ever, phones not being picked up, emails not being sent, and guess what? Before you knew it, they were no longer in their cubicle, and they were replaced with someone who had agita. And by the way, agita is great not just in sales. That's every position. Whatever your job is, whatever your role, you got to have some agita, some hunger in your belly about what it takes to go and win and to be sure you've got enough in the pipeline that's going to yield the revenue at the end of the day. All right. I have 3 minutes between you and lunch. Here's my favorite win. And I won't get to go into all the detail, and it's better with it after a couple drinks, but that's all right. So, it's September 30th, 2015. I'm head of global sales for CleverSafe, and I have an $8 million forecast for the quarter to my boss, who is the CEO. $8 million. It's September 30th. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time in the US. And thus far in the quarter, we had delivered about 3 million. So I have 5 million to get done in 8 hours because the quarter's over at midnight on September 30th. I'm out to dinner with a prospective customer, United Health in Minnesota. We're out to dinner and we're sitting around the table, and I'm expecting a PO from a company whose name I can't tell you, but you probably have their device in your hand or in your pocket, or you might be looking at it now. And the win was so big that it was going to be as though it were another round of funding for our company. It would be the biggest deal of my life and one that I would never forget. And it's now 6 o'clock. And we're sitting at dinner with United Health, and our founder was with me. And when I'm with customers, I don't look at my phone. I'm with the customer, and yet I kept looking to see if I was going to get a text or an email from Kumar that said, Jeff, the PO is in. And I'm looking and no text, and I'm looking and no email, and now I've got agita, like I can't tell you I got agita. And the CTO of United Health is sitting next to me, John Clark. I've known him for years, and I said, John, please forgive me for looking at my phone. We're waiting for this big deal, and it's just not coming through yet. It's in purchasing, but it's not quite done yet. We're rooting for you. It's great. So it's now 9 o'clock. Dinner's over. We're at the bar. We're having drinks with United Health. And they're asking us now, United Health, who's not even a customer yet, is saying, hey, did you get your order yet? No, not yet. It hasn't come yet. Have another drink. Do we have another drink? All of a sudden, at 9:30 on September 30th, 2015, I get a text from Kumar that the deal is in. $25 million over 5 quarters. It was like a new round of funding. Biggest deal I had ever done. Not the biggest dollar deal in my life, but the biggest impact. We knew at that point that the future of the company was secure. And I'm a crier, by the way. When good things happen in my life, I cry. And I was next to our founder. His phone rings. It's the CEO. And John says to Chris, our founder, Chris, we did it. We did it. And gang, I wept like a baby. Hanging on our founder, still have Kumar on the phone. And then guess what happened? The folks from United Health we're buying drinks for CleverSafe. They just got this great deal. And they're high-fiving us, and we're whooping it up. And 6 months later, we did a deal almost as big with United Health. Favorite win of my career. And there's a lot more detail to it. It was just incredible, but my time is up. We want to help you. If you guys sell a lot, that means you use more DigitalOcean, and we're all for that. So anything we can do to help you, just let us know. Mohan, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you very much. We'll see you throughout the course of the day.